So it's been a month of massive wins for the Oklahoma Sooners, and the good times, they just keep on rolling. Because before Sooner fans can collectively turn their attention to the game this weekend against UCF, Brent Venables and Oklahoma recruiting got a massive win on the trail for four-star linebacker and #1 player in the state of Kansas, Michael Boganowski. Today, we need to break down why this is such a big win, what this means for the Oklahoma recruiting class, and then ask the question, could more big wins be on the way? Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes and N for no, and same question. Do you believe more big wins could be on the way for Oklahoma recruiting? And then let me know the names you're looking at. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content and you don't want to miss any of it. But having said all of that, let's jump right into this. First and foremost, who is Michael Boganowski? Well, Michael Boganowski is a very talented prospect. If we look at the 24/7 Sports composite, he comes in as a top 500 player in all of high school football. He stands 6'2", 205 pounds, and he's the #1 player in the state of Kansas. And most importantly, when you turn on the film, it makes complete sense why Brent Venables was excited and fired up about trying to get this guy as an Oklahoma commit, because he is the type of linebacker that Brent Venables goes after, and it's apparent from the first second you turn on the film. He's got that sideline to sideline speed that so many teams are after right now with modern day linebackers, and on top of that, he welcomes physicality. He's the type of guy that's going to meet you in the hole instead of letting you get through and meet you where he stands, and that's exactly what you want from your linebackers. They need to be comfortable running downhill and meeting the opposition at the point of attack instead of letting the opposition dictate the pace to them. That, I thought, was really interesting watching, and the thing that really stood out to me about Michael Boganowski is his versatility. He's a very athletic prospect. That much flies off the screen, and he's got a lot of versatility, and that's something we talk about with Brent Venables a lot, that Brent Venables has this way of recruiting guys that have a ton of versatility, and when you put them on the football field, it's immediately apparent how athletic they are. So this is a big-time win for the Oklahoma Sooners. It gives them 26 members in the class, and we need to highlight a recruiter that has been fantastic for Oklahoma, someone who is credited with this win, or at least in part with this win, and that's Brandon Hall. Brandon Hall has been fantastic for the Oklahoma Sooners on the recruiting trail. He has been involved in several big-time battles, whether that's as the primary recruiter or as a secondary recruiter. He is a name I've heard pop up time and time again, and once again his name pops up in relation to a recruiting battle. Whether he was the primary, secondary, it matters little. The fact is, this is a guy that these prospects are drawn to. This is a guy that Oklahoma feels comfortable putting out on the trail, letting him do his thing, and he's going to give you results, and that's awesome to see. There are several coaches on this Oklahoma staff that are recruiting their tails off, no doubt about that, but I did want to give a quick shout out to Brandon Hall. Todd Bates, of course, continuing the excellent work on the trail, as both he and Todd Bates are credited with this win. Let's move forward, because we need to talk about whether or not there could be more big-time wins on the way for the Oklahoma Sooners. Specifically, I'm looking at the offensive line, and we've talked about this over the past few days. We've talked about it several times on Through the Haze, but I thought it was time we brought it in video form. Bill Bebo is one of the best offensive line coaches in the nation. We know this. We talk about this all the time, and his development, quite frankly, speaks for itself. That's why every single year, I'm really keyed into who he's recruiting, what wins he's going after on the recruiting trail, and this year, he could be putting together a really, really good offensive line class, because two names have consistently popped up in relation to the Oklahoma Sooners, both on the offensive line. Both would be massive wins. The first is Grant Brix, a top 100 player in the nation, a top 5 offensive tackle, number 75 overall, regardless of position, and a very, very gifted football player. This is a guy that several big-time schools are after, and Oklahoma has really been in his ear, and it's impossible to say that Bill Bebo doesn't have a pitch that should interest any offensive lineman out there. The development truly does speak for itself. The other name you need to be paying attention to, Eddie Pierre-Louis, who's number 228 in the nation, the number 11 interior offensive lineman. And if Bill Bebo is able to go out and land both of those guys, that would put Oklahoma's class at 28 prospects, a real full class, but what an offensive line haul. Bill Bebo will have brought in an offensive line class that'll make Sooner fans everywhere very proud and very excited to see how they continue to develop. And the last thing I'd like to end this video on is really recognizing what Oklahoma recruiting has done to this point. We need to understand that as we sit here right now, with the addition of Michael Boganowski, Oklahoma has 26 prospects in the class. What does that mean? Well, it means that the class is pretty full as we sit here and talk, but that's a good thing. If you're in October, we're almost halfway through the month. We are, in fact, over halfway through the month. Time is flying. And your class is pretty much well done. What that means is Brent Venables, the coaches on this staff, they can focus on continuing to recruit the guys that are already committed, because this is college football in 2023. You're not only recruiting the guys that are already committed to your class 24/7, 365, you're recruiting the guys that are on your roster 24/7, 365. Now, I'm not saying it looks the same everywhere, it takes the same amount of effort, but that's just a reality of college football. Not only are the staff at Oklahoma going to continue recruiting the guys that are already committed to the class, because the class is full, they can really pull resources to a few key names, possibly a few key flips. You know, we talk about this defensive line haul. I have no doubt that Oklahoma is going to continue chipping away at Williams Nwaneri, because why wouldn't they? He's such a gifted prospect. He is so talented. Why wouldn't you just keep in contact, keep letting him know you are very interested and you would love to have him? The worst that can happen is that the status quo continues. I'm also looking at a Dominic McKinley, because the same argument applies. Why wouldn't you keep pressing when you are showing everybody in college football you are putting forward excellent results, and there's a reason why there should be a level of buy-in. I have no doubt that with Oklahoma's class filling up, they're going to focus on a few guys, pull resources to those guys, and it's going to be really exciting to see what Oklahoma recruiting is going to do next. But I think Oklahoma fans everywhere need to be really excited that they sit here, October, midway done, and your recruiting class is in excellent shape. Yet another top 10 class by Brent Venables and the Oklahoma staff, which is really, really impressive. I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this win. I think Michael Boganowski completely fits into the Brent Venables scheme. Whenever you turn on the film, he looks like a Brent Venables linebacker through and through, so that's awesome to see. And then I think more big wins could be on the way, because Oklahoma recruiting is on a heater right now, as are the Oklahoma Sooners. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.